Good afternoon, Jets Nation. Welcome to the Drew Jet Show, and today we're going to attempt to rebuild the New York Jets. So without further ado, let's get it started. So before we make any moves, the New York Jets are starting off this offseason with $54 million in cap space, according to Over the Cap. And after we make some cuts, some of the players that see us cutting are Greg Van Roden, Ryan Griffin, Trevon Wesco, Chuma Edoga, LaMichael P. Ryan, Blake Cashman, and Ty Johnson. So after all this cuts, the New York Jets now have $65 million to work with this offseason. So let's start off with the players I think we re-sign. Laurent Duvernay-Tardif. See him staying for another 3 years, give him $10.5 million. Dan Feeney, see him staying for another 2 years, give him $4 million. And Morgan Moses, see him staying for another 3 years and give him $24 million. LDT did a pretty solid job for the Jets this season. Was fantastic in the run game, also wasn't that bad in the pass game, and I do think he still has some pretty good football left in him, and hopefully he plays that football with the New York Jets. Feeney was a pretty solid backup for the Jets, and Morgan Moses played in every single game this season and played pretty good in every single game. Now maybe $8 million is a little high for him, but Darrell Williams got the exact same contract from the Bills last offseason, and Moses and Williams play at pretty much the same level, so I do think that is a pretty fair contract for him, and hopefully the New York Jets do the same thing with these offensive linemen, what we did with our offensive line class in 2020, give them an out in the contract after year one, so if these players, start to go down on their play and they're not as good as they were, then we can just release them without any penalty. I see Coleman staying for another year and for $2 million. Coleman's not an every down back at this point in his career, but he is a pretty solid backup. He adds a nice explosiveness to the offense every now and then, adds some confusion to the defense, so I think Coleman stays for another year. Bayro stays for another 3 years and giving him $15 million. He was named to the All-Pro team yesterday. He was the best return man in football last season. He's also best friends with Zach Wilson. Him and Zach have an awesome connection, and you want to make your young quarterback happy, and the best way to do that is by keeping his favorite target around for another 3 years. I see Foley staying for another 2 years and giving him $8 million. Now, I only want Foley to stay on a reasonable contract. He's not a player the New York Jets need to overpay for because his play can be replaced, but the effect he has on the locker room can't, and that is a big reason to why I want Foley to stay, because he is a locker room leader. Everybody respects this guy, and if anything goes bad in the locker room, you always have guys like Foley to keep things from not going bad, and hopefully he stays for that reason. And I think Flacco stays for another year and giving him $2 million. Now, the Jets are probably going to extend Mike White. He's probably going to be the backup next season, but I like Flacco a bit more because in the 2 years he's been with the Jets backup, he's been pretty consistent in every game, and we've almost won every single game he started, except for that one game against the Dolphins. Don't remind me about that game. And then just some of the, lesser contracts. See Pinheiro staying for another year, give him $985,000. I do think he's the kicker of the future, but just give him a 1-year prove-it deal to make sure he is. See Baldwin staying for another year, give him $750,000. I mean, Baldwin, he's a solid footballer. You're not going to pay a fullback crazy amount of money either. And then I think the New York Jets give Javelin Guidry and Jeff Smith the exclusive rights free agent tender. Guidry's a solid backup cornerback of Smith. He's an alright receiver, but he's a good gunner, and the New York Jets like him on special teams. Now let's get into the free agent signing. So Dalton Schultz comes to the New York Jets for a 3-year, $33 million contract. Schultz is one of the best tight ends in football, the best tight end who's probably going to hit the open market this season. He's going to get the bag, and Dalton Schultz, he's a fantastic pass catcher. He's also a pretty solid blocker, and he's just a tight end the New York Jets need. I mean, we haven't had a good tight end in forever. I can't really think off the top of my head the last good tight end the New York Jets had. Maybe Austin Seferian-Jenkins in 2017. Herndon was pretty good Darnold's rookie year, but I mean, we need a Pro Bowl-like tight end. And Dalton Schultz is that tight end. See Jesse Bates coming to the Big Apple for 4 years and giving him a $56 million contract. Bates is one of the best coverage safeties in the NFL, and our safeties were not that good in coverage this season. I mean, most of the big plays the Jets gave up in the pass game were because a safety did not do their job. Robbie Anderson's touchdown in Week 1 was because of Sheldrick Redwine and him blowing the coverage. Elijah Riley blew the coverage on the Buccaneers game-winning touchdown in Week 17. So you go out and sign the best coverage safety in the NFL in Jesse Bates, and then I see the New York Jets giving Jimmy Smith a 1-year, $2 million contract. I have a lot of faith in Brandon Nichols, Bryce Hall, and Michael Carter II. I do think that is our starting cornerback group next season, but I do want us to add a seasoned veteran in there. I mean, Jimmy Smith used to be one of the best cornerbacks in football, and then, age started to get it to him, and he's not as good as he used to be, but he has that knowledge of the position, and he can teach our young cornerbacks how to be a Pro Bowler cornerback like he was. So that is all the re-signings and free agent signings I have the New York Jets doing, and now let's get into the draft. So with the 4th pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, have the New York Jets selecting George Karlaftis, edge rusher from Purdue. Now, I understand a lot of Jets fans do not like Karlaftis because he doesn't put up amazing sack numbers, but believe me when I tell you he's going to make a good transition into the NFL because Karlaftis possesses so much strength and so much speed, and he just plows his way into opposing offensive linemen for sacks and tackles for losses. And with the amazing defensive line the New York Jets have, Karlaftis is going to be a good fit for the Jets. Then I have trading pick 10 and pick 108 to the Pittsburgh Steelers in exchange for pick 20, 52, and a 2023 second round pick. And with the 20th pick, had the New York Jets selecting Treylon Burke, a wide receiver from Arkansas. Treylon Burke is going to be the next Mike Evans, the next A.J. Brown. He can go up and catch the contested catches, and he can go out and outrun a defense for a 95-yard touchdown. That's just a receiver Treylon Burke is, and that's the type of receiver the New York Jets need. Not another small, petite receiver like Jahan Dotson or Jameson Williams. We need a guy who can go up and catch the ball like Treylon Burke. Then at pick 35, I was selecting Lewis Cine, safety from Georgia. Cine is a hard-hitting safety who can go up and stop the run. Kind of similar to how Jamal Adams did. Cine was also one of the main reasons Georgia won the national championship. So give me Lewis Cine along with Jesse Bates. We got one of the best coverage safeties in the NFL and hopefully one of the best box safeties in the NFL. That's a pretty good safety group if you ask me. Then at pick 38, I was selecting Brandon Smith, linebacker from Penn State. Penn State's linebacker university, there have been like so many linebackers selected from Penn State, it's unreal, and some pretty good ones at that. And Smith is just an athletic linebacker who can make plays all over the field, had a career-high 81 tackles a season, along with 9 tackles for loss and 2 sacks, and he's going to be a pretty nice linebacker alongside C.J. Mosley. And then at pick 52, I'm selecting Trey Mcbride, tight end from Colorado State. I've completely fell in love with Trey Mcbride. He is the best blocking tight end in this class and is also a pretty good pass catcher. The New York Jets are also coaching McBride in the Senior Bowl this year as well. So hopefully that means we're going to develop a strong connection with him and hopefully draft him. But McBride, he's just an amazing tight end, and him along with Dalton Schultz is going to be lethal for years to come. Then at pick 69, I was selecting Alec Linderstorm, center from Boston College. Linderstorm was a 3-year starter at BC, made the All-ACC team 2 times, and has a lot of connections to the NFL. His dad played in the NFL, and his brother also is playing in the NFL right now, and having that knowledge of how to play in the NFL as a rookie is super important and kind of gives some players advantages in certain aspects. I mean, we saw Patrick Surtain come into the NFL without even missing a beat, along with Asante Samuel Jr. Both of those players had pretty solid rookie seasons, and while I don't think Alec Linderstorm is a year 1 starter for the New York Jets, I do think he's going to do a pretty solid job as a center of our future once Connor McGovern leaves. And then at pick 114, I was selecting Tariq Woolen, cornerback from UTSA. Now, a lot of you guys probably have never heard of Tariq Woolen, but he's a guy I really like. He converted from wide receiver to cornerback in 2019. Really didn't play a whole lot in 2019 as a CB, but in 2020, he got a lot of reps and wasn't really that great. But in 2021, he starts to gain more and more knowledge of the cornerback position. The Jets also have phenomenal defense back coaches. Robert Saleh has developed so many cornerbacks in the past, so hopefully they can do the same with Tariq Woolen. He can become a pretty solid cornerback for the New York Jets. Pick 144, I was selecting James Cook, running back from Georgia. You might recognize his last name, and if you do, it's because his brother is NFL superstar Dalvin Cook, and that also gives him an edge from all the other running backs in this class because he has connections to the NFL and he knows how to succeed in the NFL. But James Cook is also a phenomenal pass-catching running back. And outside of Michael Carter, the New York Jets really don't have a running back who can catch passes out of the backfield. And Cook does that pretty well. And I do think he can be pretty solid at backup running back for the New York Jets. And then for our final pick, I have the New York Jets selecting Dontario Drummond, wide receiver from Ole Miss. Drummond was the leading receiver for one of the best offenses in college football this year, and I think he could be a pretty solid backup receiver for the New York Jets. And that is my attempt at fixing the New York Jets. Honestly, I think we have a pretty solid team. If you want a quick rundown of the team, I have some pictures posted on my social medias. That's going to be linked down below. And if you enjoyed the video, let me know by hitting the subscribe and like button. Check me out on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Juden_Jets for more content. You can also check me out on Let's Talk Sports, writing some Jets articles for them. They also have a YouTube channel where they have a ton of sports content, so if you're interested in that, you can check them out down below. And comment down below what you think of my rebuild. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Let me know. And without further ado, I'm your host, Jets, signing off for now. See you guys later. Peace.